Today we're going to do a Buffalo Trace wheated blind with this Weller Antique 107. This one's a store pick against this Buffalo Trace kosher wheat recipe. We have done a bunch of blinds with this Weller Antique 107. And believe it or not, it didn't win many of them. Not as much of a surprise to me as you may think. But now I actually was able to get the Buffalo Trace kosher wheat recipe at the same time as this bottle. I have had this before. I have reviewed this before, just like I've reviewed the Buffalo Trace kosher rye recipe, which I have on my shelf as well. I don't think I ever had them at the same time, both of them, but now I do. But I thought, even though this is not a perfect comparison, I did want to compare them. So it's not perfect because this is 107 proof by the namesake, and this is 94 proof. But the difference is basically, obviously, this is both Buffalo Trace products. They are Buffalo Trace owned by Sazerac. This happens to be a store pick, but that didn't really make it win a lot of blinds. So let's see how this goes. The difference, of course, is the proof. So you have 13 proof points difference. And the age is or could be a little bit of a factor, although I'm not sure how much. I know that this is aged 7 years, the kosher. The Weller is not 100% age stated, but I've kind of read it's in the 6 to 8 year range. So we call it, it's probably not that far off. The mash bill, even though it's not disclosed, and I have a little bit of information on that one, Buffalo Trace, of course, does not disclose its mash bills, but from what I understand, this is the same mash bill as this. This uses the same grains as the Weller. Now, of course, probably a better comparison with this would probably be the Weller Special Reserve because the proof is a lot closer, but I don't have it. So these are hard to get as is. I have it. We're going to compare these. I'm just going to do it blind just for the heck of it, even though I'm sure I'll be able to pick out the proof, but just to have the whole experience without the labels. I just want to see how much different this one is than this. We have a 13-point proof difference, but the price can be a factor. This is about $53, $55 by me. This I got for $69, but as you know from your own experiences and as well as me mentioning on previous videos, this is hardly ever found, and it's usually like $140, $150 and up from there. So you really can't go by that $69 that I found. So we'll keep that in mind as well. And this recently has become a lot more available than it used to be. This is just not really available. So since they're both the same Weller grains, let's compare them, pour them up, and see how they compare. Okay, now we were just going to fresh crack this since it's a fresh crack. But we have a little technical difficulty. Look what just happened. Not happy about this. Now we're going to have to try to retrieve the cork. Unexpected little twist there. Here we go. Well, a lot happened in this one little break here. It's now a day later, and we have this Buffalo Trace kosher wheat recipe back in the bottle. But if you saw from the last video, when the cork was broke, and here's the broken cork, we transferred it with this funnel into this decanter. The wood chips are still in there. And then just now, I ordered one of those fine strainer, bar strainer kits. I didn't even have any small strainers, which you use to make drinks. The very fine strainers. I ordered that via Amazon, but it's not coming for another couple of days. So what I did was I did this bottle, used the same funnel, and put a coffee filter above this. And then I poured it out of here and back into here, and it got rid of all the grains. So hopefully that the coffee filter taste isn't affecting it. I read that you can use that too. So it worked fine. It works for coffee. It worked to strain everything back in here. I don't know how we're down a little bit. Maybe a couple of drops spilled. But before we get into the blind, here's the cork, spare cork I used from a previous Buffalo Trace kosher wheat. And we're dropping stuff here, and it'll come in handy. Fits fine. And now, let's pour it up for the blind. Here we go. Okay, we have them poured up, mixed up, have no idea which is which. Gonna keep this broken cork here, I guess, for good luck. Gonna toss it out. Unbelievable. All right, well, I wasn't gonna do a second cork pop because it's not the original and kind of all cork popped out. In any event, let's get into the blind that we wanted to do yesterday. Let's give each a nose. Now, maybe getting a little bit more out of this nose, but as always, it's the taste. And again, as I said previously, this is a 13 proof point difference. I'll probably be able to guess which is which, but I truly want to see which I like better, despite the proof. Here we go on the taste. Cheers. Cheers. Okay. Just gonna pause for some water. Okay, I took some water, did a couple of sips back and forth so I don't waste camera time. I'm gonna do one more, and I think, you know what? I mean, it's 13 proof points difference, but I'm really just going on taste here. This one actually has a little bit more taste to me. Let's see which one it is. It is the Weller. Okay. All right, well, the Weller finally wins one. Let's make sure that is a W. All right, so we're going to shift them in order here. Weller here, and then the Kosher. Okay, I was expecting to be able to at least, it's not even a matter of telling them apart. I was just kind of, ignoring the proof, just which do I like better. So of these, yes, the Weller wins. I was expecting, I know this Weller lost against a bunch of other ones, but of the same grains, the same mash bill, I would expect the Weller would win. The proof difference itself probably brings out some flavor. Age-wise, as I said, this is a straight 7 years. This could be aged a little longer, but it's generally 6 to 8 years. I just think it's aged probably better, maybe in the specific part of the warehouse. I'm just guessing on that. But it is, there's definitely more taste. Now let's do one just knowing which is which. We'll start with the Buffalo Trace. Weller. A little bit better on that. Now, I don't know if, I'm assuming that I didn't, lose any flavor with the whole filtration process and the coffee filter. I am going to use those strainers in the future, but coffee filter worked just fine. As you can see, there's no wood pieces there. But in any event, as expected, the Weller won this one. However, bear in mind, again, this, it's not the most available bottle, but it's a lot more available than this, certainly in New Jersey. This is around $53, $53, $55, generally in that range. When you see it, this, I got a bargain of $69, and generally it's, $140 and up. So, basically for the deal, this may be better. I didn't say it's miles better, but it's better. It's certainly noticeably better. But this bottle, if you can see it, it's generally going to be the way this bottle runs, not what I got it for, the way it runs. This is going to be more than, this is going to be twice, at least twice the price of this generally, even more so. So we got through this blind, a few casualties along the way, a little bit of effort. And then in closing, as far as corks, this is, I guess, a good argument for screw tops in some cases, but also what I always suggest now, I'm going to be suggesting, even though you can't know, there's no way I would have known purchasing this, but once you do, certainly if it's sitting a while, do one of those, wet the corks, keep them moist. Don't leave it in that position, but definitely wet the corks. Cheers.